So part 2 about what I've learned about using crutches and what I think is useful to know when you do have to use them. We're going to talk a little bit more about how the arm pushes and how the shoulder should be functioning with the arm that I think was useful. Last time I talked about how to create some cushion in the armpit and how to put weight through it. As well, talked about the height of the crutch. This is the 6'3" setting. The last video I was up at 6'4". That was a little much. 6'3" feels about right for today. I guess it could change if I kept using them, but luckily I'm able to not use them at this point. So when you are using them, however, one of the things you want to be mindful of is how you are pushing your wrist into the crutch. You want to be wary of pushing too much from your thumb side, basically the punch down of your first knuckle of your index finger, your pointer finger. What's felt best for me is pushing through the fourth knuckle area. That's naturally going to include the middle and the outside too, but the fourth is a good area to try to connect to when you're creating this push down. So it's not this kind of wrist breaking, it would be the other way, which doesn't happen as easily, and that's why we want to use that, because we are stronger there than we tend to be here. It might be weaker for you initially, but you'll feel how you can put pressure more so down on the back half of the handle than the front half. Naturally, I feel my whole body get more connected to that. It's closer to the back of the body, just like it's closer to the back of the shoulder as opposed to the front of the shoulder, so you have better help on that side. With that, just make sure your arm's not totally locked out. You want to get good at the stiff arm strength that's required to use a crutch and to be able to create that kind of pop up, and then obviously use that in different ways. And you also want to make sure that you're not creating too much drive just from the elbow. You're not utilizing really much of motion there, that snapping the elbow kind of movement. It should mostly be happening through a pretty fixed or stiff, strong elbow, and then more of the motion comes from your shoulder and your spine. Just like that. And to help with that, my other tip is to also think about, in the same way you were putting more weight through the back of the handle here, you put more weight through the back of your top apparatus, the armpit handle, essentially. And make sure that you're not, again, pushing your shoulder forward down into it too much, that you have the opposite pull back into it. That will help create a platform of like your lat and your tricep of muscle that you can put quite heavily into it without feeling like your arm starts falling asleep or just pain in general. It might take your armpits a little bit to get used to creating that amount of pressure into something and for the skin to be okay, but hopefully with the muscle buildup that you'll get there, it'll get more and more comfortable, and again, easy enough that you can move without even using your hands or arms. Otherwise, the only other things I can think about are pulling my head back over my crutch, essentially, so not having my head always in front of my crutch, trying to keep my head back and staying in a little more extension. Again, a higher crutch will kind of bring you there as opposed to you having to hang out here a whole lot. It'll just maintain your posture a little bit better and connect the back of your body, which you'll need when you go to connect the rest of your calf to it. So those are some things that hopefully help when you're using these. Make sure you get good padding. I really like these because they're quite rubbery. If what you have is not so nice, then maybe put a towel or some kind of like buffer there just to help with the process. Again, over time your muscles will become the buffer if you're able to connect to this right. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if there's any questions.